Fred, All right, we're back. We're late, but we're back. Yeah. We have had some technical difficulties, everybody, but we are here on. No, I'm not going to quarterback this tonight. Mike, you quarterback this. You introduce everybody.
Oh, well, we're happy to be here. I'm your host tonight, Michael
Caught
Timpson.
by surprise.
My co-host, Irving Fryer and Fred Barnett. So these are my co-hosts this evening. So we're happy that you joined us. Yes, we had some technical difficulties at the Fryer Studios.
Oh, why are you going to blame it on me?
We're here.
Better late than never. And wait a minute, Mike. Wait, you said, hey, Fred, you hear what he said? He said, these are my co-hosts. Like he said it like there's going to be some other co-hosts some other time. Like we're not the permanent co-host with him. You said it like you got some other options.
So tonight, Irvin's going to let me drive the car.
Oh, I'm going to let it drive the car. No, we should each one know how to drive the car.
Wait. If I'm hosting, let me host. You
okay,
just
go ahead, bro. Go ahead.
Just hold on. And so we're going to wrap up week 2, ladies and gentlemen, of the NFL football season. And like every week that it has been, there's a lot of ups and downs, a lot of things to talk about. So we're going to jump right into it. So I'll start with you, Dr. Reverend Fryer. Top team for week 2.
Okay. Top team for week 2. And you know what? I put a lot of thought into this. I put a lot of time into this. I hate to do this because I'm not a fan of this team, but bet you by golly why. It just is what it is. And you can't deny it. You can't deny the play. You can't deny the numbers. You can't deny the results. Second week in the league, my top team in the NFL right now is the Dallas Cowboys. I said it.
I get it.
I hate to admit it, but man, I mean, I got a bunch of numbers here. I mean, they did play the Giants and the Jets in the first 2 games, and they skunked the Giants 40-0 in the first week of the season, and they beat the Jets last week 30-10. So they scored 70-10 with their opponents. Now, people will argue that it was the Giants, it was the Jets. You're right. But when you're better than a team like that, when you're that much better than a team, you're supposed to dog them like they did. So we have to give them the props for that. The Giants, they didn't struggle with the Giants. They didn't struggle with the Jets. They just my wife is watching and she said Cowboys ! Yeah, Cowboys on the top. But you can't deny it. And Mike, I'm telling you something right now. I know you said the 49ers last week were your favorite team because they so balanced. But this Dallas Cowboys team is balanced, man. It's balanced. They got 10 sacks, 7 takeaways. It's crazy what they're doing right now in week 2. Dak has not thrown an interception, 44 for 62.
Can I correct that?
What?
An interception has not been caught.
He has not thrown an interception.
He has thrown interceptions.
Well, interception has not been caught then, but when you look at his stats and it says next to INT, it has a big fat 0. and
Yeah,
Dak
Okay.
made the proclamation that he wasn't going to throw a whole bunch of interceptions
I get
this
that.
year. So and
I
then
get
I get it.
Micah Parsons. You can't talk about the Dallas Cowboys without talking about Micah Parsons. That cat, he does
He's
what
ridiculous.
Reggie White used to do. Move him
He's
anywhere
ridiculous.
on the front line from one end to the other. He'll do that at the beginning of the game, where he'll move from the tackle to the center to the other tackle to the end, and he'll figure out which one is the punk, which one is the weak link, and that's where he
Yeah.
works most of his magic on the day. So why might as well take the path of least resistance. But what they do with Michael Parsons is unbelievable, and that just frees everybody else up.
Yeah.
Dallas is on top right now, week 2.
Yeah.
Dallas is the team right now, more so than the 49ers, in my opinion. And I hate
Well,
to say it because I'm not a Cowboys fan.
Fred,
Yeah,
you got?
I mean, I got more. I got
to
some stats and stuff, but go ahead. Go ahead.
To some degree, I agree with you. I think more so the Dallas Cowboys are getting led by their although they putting up points. I feel like Dallas is really getting momentum and being led by their defense. As you mentioned, Michael Parsons just he can nobody can block it.
Yeah,
I
my
mean, he seems
wife
to
said in
like
the comments, she said, "Say it with me, Michael Parsons." She'd being funny,
yeah, nobody can block him, and he seems to just get a sack when he wants to,
right?
which is absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah.
Hopefully that doesn't continue with us, but. I actually did have a chance to watch the game, and I feel that there were one or two plays, especially a drop interception by, or should have been an interception by Sauce
Mm-hmm.
Gardner,
Mm-hmm.
that could have possibly turned that game around. Of course, they
But that
did what
happens in
they
every
did,
game. Doesn't that happen every
but
game?
I'm just
Yeah.
it does. But
Mm-hmm.
at the same time, too, I'm highlighting the fact that the Jets didn't do what they were supposed to do, more so than Dallas did what they did. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
Dallas is. I think they're going to be a good team. They could possibly be a playoff team. I think they still have to, as you mentioned, prove themselves not only to the
Yeah.
NFC, but in my opinion, the league, because they always this is an old song for us. I think I also had a chance to watch San Francisco, and they are averaging 30 points a game.
Mm-hmm.
I think they are, in my opinion, are the soundest team right now in the league. And I hate to say it, McCaffrey averaging 130 yards a game. Debo and Ayuk, they only have 11 receptions between the two of them, but they got over 100 yards. The most disappointing right now, offensively, is Kettle, who has only
Mm-hmm.
six
Right.
passes for 50 yards. But from a defensive standpoint, they have played very well.
Better than
If
Dallas, though.
if if if
Better than
if
Dallas.
I put, let me say this: if Dallas plays San Francisco will win.
I
Easy.
believe that
Easy.
to be true.
There
I
we
believe that to
go.
be
That
true.
answers
But
the question.
I'm talking about that, and that again, that's the game. I believe
Yeah,
if Dallas played the Eagles, well, not right now. I'm not going to say that because the Eagles are not playing well right now. But
yeah,
arguably, it's one of those two teams right now. And as Mike
yeah,
said, and you said too, it's only, and we're only basing this off of week 2. I'm just talking about week 2 in the NFL. That's it.
yeah.
Do I think Dallas is going to maintain this? No. Do I think,
We don't
halfway
know.
through the season, is Dallas still going to be considered right now one of the top 2 teams in the NFC? No. I
Yeah,
think they're going
yeah.
to level out or level off, and I think other teams are going to raise their standard and get back in the flow, because a lot of teams have yet to crack the code of the beginning of the season to get on track.
And
Okay,
I
fair
absolutely
enough. But
believe that it's training camp. I mean, we've said
that's
this for the past 3 shows now.
But
I'm just blaming these slow starts on training camp. And you know what? I did see, and I think it was ESPN highlight or whatever.
mhm.
Dallas had the most intense training camp. There was a lot of fighting. There was a lot of bickering. These guys were literally fired up. And when I watched the Eagles training camp, everybody just loved each other, and everybody just sounded, we just skipping through the day. And I'm not saying I'm not saying they're gonna get it together. Not gonna get it together because I believe they will. But I feel like their first real game is going to be at least another 1 or 2 games from now.
Well, yeah, I
Where,
think
where
what the
they're like
season,
in a groove.
the season, the beginning of the season has turned into training camp, where from now on,
Yeah.
what we're going to see is the first 2 or 3 games, teams trying to get themselves in a rhythm. I saw this last week after the first week of the season. It was a posting with Burrows, Hurts, Jackson, and Jones, and their salaries combined for $950 million. That's Burrows, Hurts, Jackson, and Jones. Combined salaries are $950 million. That particular week, they combined for 1 touchdown. That's the first
Well, let
week
me
of the
give you
season.
my props.
They combined for
Let me
1
give you-
touchdown, which is ridiculous.
Who you got, Mike? Yeah, that's ridiculous.
So, well, here's the thing that I think we need to make sure that we keep in mind. Not just the team that everybody expects to win. I'm picking a team that broke out and had a good game for this week too. And my top team for this week is the Washington Commanders. Here's why.
Man, what in the
2-0.
world are you talking about, man?
You gotta listen.
Yeah, what in the world are you talking about?
The Washington Commanders. Wait a minute.
I'm going to start calling you
I'm trying to-
Jesus.
You have to listen. You have to listen. I'm trying to give them props because for that week too, they played well. Here's why. Down 21-3 at halftime.
Yeah.
They come back and score 32 points against the Broncos.
Sure.
You know, both of you know as well as I do, in this league to come back at that deficit against a decent team.
Well, Buffalo did that.
says something. Hold on. Number 2, you have a quarterback that's had only 3 starts in Sam Howell. Nobody knows who he is.
Don't know.
So what I'm getting at is looking at Eric Bieniemy. I'm getting on the Eric Bieniemy train because if he does what he's doing right now, that says a lot about him and what he's bringing to the table. And he took a lot of heat being up under Kansas City with Reed. Now he has a chance to do his own thing. Here's a couple of things I want to throw out to you.
Yeah.
Do you realize since 2017, since Kirk Cousins left, let me name the quarterbacks for you that franchise is
At Washington, yeah.
Alex Smith,
Yeah.
Colt McCoy, Mark Sanchez,
Uh-huh.
Josh Johnson, Case Keenum, Dwayne Haskins, rest in peace, Kyle Allen, Taylor Hinkie, Ryan Fitzpatrick, Garrett Gilbert, Carson Wentz. And now the 2 that you have there now is Jacob Brissett and Sam Howell. I'm giving them credit because this week 2, they played well enough and they showed me something to keep an eye on them being 2-0.
I think.
Okay, so then we need to change
ahead.
the definition. Okay, I understand what you're saying, Mike, and that's cool. But then we need to change the definition of our topic on this segment of the show. Because the topic is the top team of the week, or not the props team of the week. Who we want to give props to?
Why aren't they a top team? Just tell me why they are a top team.
They're not a top team. What's the expectation? What is the expectation of that team?
Great.
What's the expectation of that team this year? How far is that team going to go this year?
Remember what you just said about Dallas? 10 sacks. Guess what? Washington has 10 sacks.
Mm-hmm.
It's
how many takeaways they got? How many takeaways they got?
Early in the season. How many takeaways?
Yeah.
I don't have that stat. I have to check with the statistician. Hey, check out.
But that's why you don't have that stat, because they don't have as many takeaways as Dallas does. Dallas has 7. Listen, the last time a team did what Dallas is doing in the first 2 games was back in 1979 when the Steelers did it and they went to the Super Bowl. They had 10 sacks with five interceptions. Any other team that did that, say what? Say it again?
You can't anoint anybody as Super Bowl champions just because it's 2 weeks into the season.
No, I'm not saying they're going to win the championship. I'm just saying the last time something like what Dallas has done in the last 2 weeks, the first 2 weeks of the game, the last time anything was done like that was done
That team
way
went
back
to
in
the Super Bowl.
1979 by the Steelers. And that year, the Steelers won the Super Bowl. So we know how significant it is. That's all I'm saying. The first 2 weeks,
And-
they've done some stuff that is significant. They're playing at a level the first two, and it's only 2 weeks. We know that's a long season. They got
Let me
an
say
extra
something.
game. They got 17
First of
games.
all,
So
the Washington Redskins are prayed up. I think, and just like the Washington Redskins are prayed up, the Giants are prayed up because they had a comeback. They had a
20
comeback too.
21 points, yeah.
Although they weren't playing anybody, but they had a comeback too. So I mean, it's. Would we say the Giants are the top team?
No. Well, I think
No.
we
All right,
just
let's
have
say that.
I think we just have to
They just had.
maybe re-identify what it is we're talking about in terms of the top team of the week.
Washington is 2-0. I'm going to give them some love. Washington's 2-0.
Okay,
Well,
How about that?
you love
Well, no,
Washington.
that's you can't
He like
you
Magic
can't
deny
Johnson.
knock that.
He's from minority ownership.
Well, wait a minute. First of all, we have to back up. We got to talk about last Thursday. Y'all know y'all tried to skip by it.
We can't do
No,
that until
we-
Thursday night.
we-
We talk about the game on
We're
Thursday
gonna
night.
Last
cover that
Thursday.
Right. We're going to
Last
cover that
Thursday.
briefly. Wait, who's driving the car? Me or you? We're going to cover that. in
You
the
driving,
Thursday
Mike.
night segment.
Drive the car, Mike. Drive the car.
Let's go to segment number 2.
What's,
Your biggest surprise this week. The biggest surprise, Fred. What's your biggest surprise?
I'm gonna
Let the
give Fred the
audience
table.
know.
Go ahead, Fred. You go ahead.
I have to say, the Giants come back. I was just floored by the resilience that they had, the determination that they had to win that game after being blown away by Dallas. You know, sometimes you get a mindset that, hey, look, you know what? Our identity is that we just gonna go out and try to compete, and we're gonna get beat up. But I think they did a great job, and I was very surprised that the mindset changed, and who knows, it may create a very positive mindset for this team to do a lot better than they've been doing. Also, I have to say this, after last season and the season before, all we heard was Broadway Joe. Joe's the man. Joe Burrow, and right at this point is no Joe. I mean, Baltimore did exactly what they were going to do to everybody. I mean, they didn't have crazy numbers. Jackson had a few runs here and there, and the numbers were not crazy, but Burrow didn't do much. I mean, Joe he went 27 for 41 for 222 yards. T. Higgins had a pretty good game. He had eight catches for 89 yards, and two of the touchdowns the two touchdowns that Burrow had, and Jamar Chase didn't do anything. I mean, he had, five catches for 31 yards. And that little nucleus there is one of the biggest surprises, I think, even the first week and even now, these guys are getting off to this, slow of a start. And I think we all know that they're capable of going out and dominating against, anybody at any time. So to see this, it's kind of shocking for me.
Mm-hmm.
Herb, what you got?
Oh, okay, cool. Okay, Coach. Thank you, Coach. I just wanted to holler. Stu Winrow is on with us. Vinny Capriati is on with us. Danny Bentley. Shout out to Danny Bentley. What's going on, Danny? And Sister Fryer, Serena, Cowboys fan, is still with us. she's still rooting for the Cowboys. My disappointment this week, again, I actually have to co-sign with Fred. My target was the Cincinnati Bengals and Joe Burrow and what's not being accomplished out there. The thing that, for me, is this. We know that he's got this calf injury that started in training camp. And how does that happen in training camp these days? He's got a calf injury that he's dealing with. And you can see it in his play and how he's throwing the ball and his ability to maneuver in the pocket. It's having a negative impact on him. Cincinnati started out 0-2 last year. And when they started out 0-2 last year, he had 4 interceptions in those first 2 games and 13. He was sacked 13 times in those first two games. But this year, he's got another year under his belt. He's only got 1 interception and 3 sacks in the first 2 games, but he's still not playing well. He's still not producing. And you would think that a quarterback that's been in the league 3, 4 years, 5 years, he hasn't been in that long, but he's been in long enough to continue to, he's still young, so he should continue to ascend, continue to get better as he figures the formula out, as he becomes more exposed to more and more defenses and plays more and more at that position, given the talent that he has. But for some reason, it almost seems like he's plateaued and hit a glass ceiling and isn't going to get or hasn't gotten any better. And that concerns me because of the expectations that we've all had of this team.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys had them, but most people during the preseason, they're talking about Cincinnati, AFC. They're the ones that are going to be at the top of the AFC and challenge the Kansas City Chiefs for the AFC Championship and possibly go to Super Bowl. They were just a game away from it last year, so here they're going to be there again. Now, can they come back and do the same thing this year they did last year from the 0-2 start last year? I guess they can, but it's a whole nother year where Burrow should be playing better, and he's not for whatever reason.
What do you do, Coach Fryer? Put you in the head coaching seat for a second.
Mm-hmm.
Do you bench him with his injury and how he's playing? Do you bench him till he gets well?
Well, yes. Not bench him. Depends on how bad it's affecting him.
Down.
Like I said, my personal opinion, it looks like is having a negative impact on him and on the team.
Okay, what are you going to do, Coach?
So based on who the backup is, all depends who the backup is. I don't know who the backup quarterback is in Cincinnati.
Well,
does anybody know who the backup quarterback is in Cincinnati? If y'all know who the backup quarterback is in Cincinnati, throw it in the comments.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of variables at play into that, Mike. I can't just say I would put him, bench him or sit him and try to get him injured. If he's injured, obviously he's not injured bad enough to sit down.
I'd like to speak to that when you're done. I'd like to speak to that.
But I would definitely try to do some things to simplify what's going on as an offensive coach or as an offensive coordinator to try to get him in some kind of rhythm, to get him comfortable with what's going on. Because right now, they go 0-3, it's going to be a problem for them.
Yeah.
They go 0-3, it's going to be a problem.
I think one thing that happens a lot, especially when you got a guy at that level that's injured, what you do is there are measurables. You start to say, okay, what percent are you? And there were times that I was better as a starter at being in the game at 85% than my guy was on the bench.
Right.
Than the second guy on the bench.
At 100%.
Now, when it gets to a point to where his percentage is lower than the backup guy, now the backup guy has to come in because the one thing that you don't want to do, you don't want to take a guy out if he's 85% and he could possibly get it done, and what you have behind him and who you have rather behind him, can't even measure up to that 85%.
Right.
You take him out, and then you lose 2 or 3 games, and he gets better. Now he has to fight uphill. Now he has to battle uphill when there's a possibility that he could have won those games, being 85%.
You're risking losing him for an extended amount of time right now if you're putting him out there. They're already getting beat up. He's not playing well, and you're going to lose him for significant time.
It's a fine line. You know that. We all know that it's a fine line. We all have played at times where when we probably should not have played and put ourselves at risk and risk the fact that we could have been out for a significant period of time, but we made it through because of the grace of God, made it through, and that may not have happened. But that's a part.
You can hide us as wideouts. You can't hide him as a quarterback.
No, you can't. But it's the same thing. Like Fred said, it depends on how bad the injury is. That's what I was alluding to earlier, and it depends on who his backup is and how capable he is.
And at the same time, too, let's not rule out the fact that he could be having a bad year this year. He could. I mean, Irvin, you kind of alluded to the fact, but
he should be getting better.
He could be having an off year,
right?
And he could be 90% and still just disappointed and kind of frustrated about that not just only being 90% and just having a bad year. Of
But
course, a lot for the fans out there. You see us running, you see us jumping, you see us hitting, you see us, catching touchdowns. It's still a mental game.
right, right.
It's a mental game. And there are guys who can defeat themselves before they go out or even on the field, and they have the ability to win.
Well, here's what's playing in his head before we move on to the next subject. The quarterback from the Jets, Rodgers, jacked his leg up with a calf injury very similar to that.
Mm-hmm.
That's
And
a good
don't
point.
think for a minute that's not running through his mind in terms of him going out there and putting pressure on that leg. I believe they play one more game with him. He continues to play. They're going to sit him.
Right, right.
They're going to
That's
sit
a good point. That's a good
Listen,
point, Mike.
this next game, and they almost have to play him this game because this is a pivotal game for them. They can't afford to go, like I said, 0-3. So he's got to play, and they got to win because if they go 0-3, it's going to be, not impossible, but it's going to be very, very difficult to dig themselves out of that hole. At least they give themselves a chance at 1-2, starting the season off 1-2.
Yeah, they got.
Well,
they got
speaking of my surprise, I have another quarterback for you that whom I'm my biggest surprise from week 2, and the quarterback is Justin Fields. Justin Fields, he looks awful. I mean, he just looks like he's just very unsure of himself, not wanting to make a mistake.
Mm-hmm.
Watching him against Tampa Bay, which obviously that's a tough team to play up against, but he just seems very unsure of himself. And now today he comes out and says that it's coaching, in terms of why his play is so bad. So I went and dug a little bit. This is his second head coach, second coordinator since he's been there, and this is year 3 for him.
Right.
This is year 3 for him. And he's been sacked 10 times in 2 games.
Right. This already.
And he says he's just thinking too much. And they're trying to the coaches are trying to make him a pocket passer. And he says he just needs to play like himself. And let me tell you what I think this signals for him to come out in the media and say it's the coaching. I think he wants out.
He wants out. Of course, he wants out.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah,
because he already created the divide when he said that.
He pulled the pin and he threw the hand grenade, and he wants out.
Boof.
He wants out.
Well,
So,
yeah.
I
Anytime
think
you do that
that's,
kind of stuff,
my
yeah.
surprise. Yeah.
Well, there was one instance where I saw Justin Fields. I think it was a run pass option, and he faked right. But as he was faking right, he had to look left to the end to see whether to pull it. So it's getting him on a scale to where he has to do basically 2 or 3 things at once. Now I am not standing up for him because I think that he was a very successful college quarterback, and I think he has a college mindset. I think he's more of a guy who would rather run for 100 yards than to throw for 300. And that's the mindset I think you have to change and understand that doesn't happen in the league. And even if it does happen on this Sunday, it probably won't happen next Sunday. And I think he has to come out of that mindset. There was one guy, I forget who it was. As a matter of fact, he compared Fields to Hurts, and that Fields was the better quarterback, which is absolutely ridiculous because I think Hurts is a lot more mature in running the offense than Fields. And what happens is when you and it's not necessarily a bad thing. It's really just kind of focusing on what you need to do. When you rely on your legs, and sometimes when you're an athletic quarterback, it's easy to just come off your read, especially when you see field.
Yep. Because you have that option. You have that option.
You should not come off that read. And the thing is that when you got option 1, 2, and 3, you create a 4th option and you put it at 2. When you can run 10 yards and then you run for 50 yards and everybody's yaying, but the offensive coordinator like, what the heck's going on?
Right.
Our second guy was wide open. I think that's going to come with time. I think that's going to come with maturity. I think it's going to come with the right coaching as well.
but they've taken that element away from him. He rushed for 1,000 yards last year. And now he's sitting in the pocket holding the ball, going through all of his reads instead of taking off, because they're trying to make him a pocket passer, and he's trying to obviously please them. So they're changing how he is. And I remind you, the coordinator was in Green Bay, coaching a Hall of Famer.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You know, it's just not the same. And he's trying to change him and make him that he's not.
I tell you what, and I say this because when I played, I could hear the chatter outside of the meeting room. I could hear the chatter in the media about really what was going on. But guess what? I was in the meeting room. I knew exactly what was going on. I knew not to talk about it, but I knew exactly what was going on. And I say that to say we have these opinions about it, but at the same time too, you know, there's what's really going on is what they're seeing on the film. And sometimes we just don't see exactly who's open and what reads he's not making and what reads he are making, you know. So it becomes a guessing game for us because we're really not sitting there dissecting the film.
But what we have seen and what we have heard and what is public or been made public is the fact that Fields talked to the press and pointed the finger at the coaches and blamed them for the miscues in his game right now, which I'm assuming that you're speaking to that in terms of that's not something that is supposed to happen unless, like Mike said, that cat wants out of there. He wants out of there. Yeah. He's made it public. He's pointed the finger at the coaches. He's created that divide now in terms of the division between the coach and player.
Oh, that's right. Yeah,
and the best thing now for him, particularly if it continues, the best thing now for him is to get out of there. And we'll see what happens the rest of the season. We'll see what happens over the off season. But that leads me to something we were talking about earlier before we got on, while I was still trying to figure out how to get us live. We were talking about last Thursday and A.J. Brown on the sidelines, Philadelphia Eagles, and he's pouting with his lip poked out and making a scene on the sidelines, and Nick Sirianni had to come over and try to settle the whole thing out where he was talking to Jalen. It was kind of animated. That's not the first time AJ has done something like that, where he has been animated. He's been public with his frustration in terms of not being able to participate as much as he wants to participate in terms of catches in a particular game. And that's just, in my opinion, that's just not when you do those kinds of things. I've been in a position where, you know, other cats were catching more balls than me, and I knew I was supposed to be the go-to guy. I didn't get hot. Yeah, I got emotional, but I didn't show my emotion. I control my emotion. Wait a minute. I didn't get emotional on this. Mike know better than that.
We say with you.
He started crying. He started crying, Mike.
I'm gonna let y'all talk. Go ahead, talk.
Mike, you started crying.
Huh? Say what?
Mike said you started crying.
No.
I said, you know how many helmets I saw you throw?
Well, yeah, that's different.
Oh, that's different.
Throwing a helmet is different than going and getting in my quarterback's face and arguing with a quarterback or a teammate on the field. That's something totally different. When I say controlling emotions, that shouldn't happen either. But that did happen with me. But what I'm talking about is conflict among teammates and that happening on the field. And it being visible, particularly nowadays, it's visible. They got cameras everywhere. Everybody's got a phone. Everybody's, they're looking for that. They're looking for that. And there's a time. It's okay. I'm not condemning AJ for wanting the ball more. We're all alpha males. We all want to play. We all want to be the star. We all want to shine. I understand that. I'm not downing him that or criticizing him for that. I'm not. What I'm concerned about is this the second time he's done it, where it's been known and seen and heard by the public. You don't do that in public. You take it in the locker room, or you take it in the meeting room, and you voice your opinion there, let it be known there, but you don't show that and create known conflict between you and a teammate, and then have to be brought down and brought back under control by your coach. And then when the coach comes, you're like, get out of here.
When you are at a competitive level like a AJ Brown, and he is quote a dog. He likes to play football.
Mm-hmm.
He likes to get involved. When you are not involved, there is a level of frustration, and I for one can identify with that. Being with the Eagles and Randall being somewhat a running quarterback and a passing quarterback at times, and a running quarterback at times. So there were a number of times when I'm like, bro, what are you doing?
I'm open. Throw me
And
the ball.
I can remember Mike Quick coming to me and say, hey, look, that's your source. You need to figure it out with him, when you get in the meeting room. And basically what I'm saying is that you need to keep the business meetings
Right.
in the boardroom.
Yep.
And the minute that you chastise your quarterback for not hitting you when you're open, you're basically telling him you did something wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And it gets to a point to where your quarterback would turn a sour tongue toward you, or could turn a sour tongue toward you. Because the thing is that I guess all of us except Mike think these guys can go to the Super Bowl. And
well, there's only two of us, only me
be,
and you.
There could be one little lemon that could last for 4 or 5 games,
Yep.
and they figure it out. But in those 4 or 5 games, they done lost 2 or 3. And next thing you know, the chemistry is gone. Next thing you know, the culture is gone. All of a sudden, we done wasted a year over just some emotional attitudes or some emotional outbursts, when it needs to be handled, as I said earlier, in the boardroom. The business meetings should be
Totally
handled in the
agree with
boardroom.
Totally agree with you. But you know what's trending now is to go off on the sideline with your quarterback.
Well, that's trending with this generation of athletes. That's who it's trending with.
Yes, sir. And here's the thing: they've gotten results. After Diggs went off on him, now everything is he's forcing the ball to Diggs. Josh Allen.
That's a problem. That's a problem, in my opinion. That's a problem.
I agree with you.
Not only is it a problem of him going off, but it's a problem if he's trying to force the ball when that read is not there.
Mm-hmm.
If you're not open.
Let's see if Jalen Hurts tries to force the ball.
There have been times when Randall threw me the ball. I'm like, why the heck you threw me the ball? Why'd you throw that ball? I wasn't open. That was double coverage. And now where you've been there, we got to work harder to come up with a catch. You threw it in double coverage.
Mike, I promise you, the first pass this week on Monday night when Philly plays Tampa is going to go to AJ Brown. I promise you that. Because the same thing happened last year when he had his little temper tantrum last year. And we're receivers and they call us prima donnas, and that's okay. We're special. We are. But the game don't happen without us.
Exactly.
But when he had his little temper tantrum last year, the next game, the first ball went to him. He sees it. It works.
Yeah,
it works. To your point,
he's going to do it again.
To your point, it worked. So that's a coaching issue. That's an organizational issue that they need to address. But, that's also what's going on now in professional sports, where the athletes are controlling. They're controlling what goes on. You have in basketball, you have professional basketball players making hundreds of millions of dollars that tell the coach, I'm not practicing today, and nothing's wrong with them. And nothing's wrong with them. That goes on. That goes on right now in professional sports. The player will go to the coach and tell the coach, I'm not doing this or I'm not doing that, and doesn't give a reason why. and if they do give a reason why, it's not a legitimate reason why.
Yeah.
So you got that kind of.
We'll keep our eyes on it.
Yeah.
We'll keep our eyes on it.
Put a note there. AJ Brown's getting the first ball on Monday night.
I'm writing it down.
Mm-hmm. Those of you who do FanDuel and all that stuff, y'all need to go and do a parlay. What do they call that stuff? Do a parlay, and you can bet that bet.
By the way, the Eagles won.
Yeah, we know the Eagles won.
Yes, they did. Yes, they did.
Somebody said they weren't going to win.
Yeah, I did say that. And I'm going to tell you why I said that. And I'm going to tell you why they didn't win in the next segment.
Okay,
Now,
the next segment.
Here's the segment we're going to talk about now, though. One of the more interesting one. Who's your guy? Who's the guy that stood out to you that this week you said, you know what? Man, I didn't see that coming. Who's your guy, Dr. Reverend Fryer?
Let me shout out to a couple people first. Richard Melton has a question. Do you guys think it's the monetary value that teams owners allow these superstar receivers to behave like this? Do you think it's because of the money?
That they allow them?
Yeah. I think the money has changed the game even more than it used to have changed the game. I think that has something to do with it because these guys are getting paid. I mean, these owners have invested all of this money in these cats. What the Kansas City Chiefs just took some of the money that they redid Mahomes' contract and put $250 million more up front, so it's getting and it's guaranteed. $251 million out of the $500 million for the 10-year contract. They took $251 of it and brought it towards the front of it so he can get it now and guaranteed it. So come on, $250 million.
I think it's indirectly the money because but my point is that
it's not just the money.
It's really the importance of the player. Now, when I look at that first Kansas City game, you had two guys were out, right? Chris Jones and the tight end, Kelce.
Mm-hmm.
Let me tell you something. Chris Jones and Kelce in that game, Detroit don't beat them. And I know that Kansas City's coaching staff, Kansas City's organization, front office knows and understands that.
Right.
And then what happens is those two guys have power. And everybody knows that they are in the game, that they win that game.
Mm-hmm.
And that creates power. And when you are able to play at that level and become a guy who makes that much money, which we're talking about now indirect, and that if you can play that well and be at that level, you're going to make the dollars. So inevitably, you'll be that guy who can kind of do and say whatever he wants, and everybody just kind of like backs off and just kind of feeds you what you want to eat. What do you want? We're not going to serve you a menu. What do you want? So inevitably, it's the money, but at the same time, too, it's the importance of the player. AJ Brown's important. AJ Brown don't play with the Eagles right now. We don't. I don't think we can possibly be a playoff team, but I don't know if we could go as far without him. And then the Eagles know that. Everybody.
So to answer Richard's question, yes, the monetary side of it certainly plays a factor, without a doubt. So who's your guy, Herb?
My guy, okay, I still didn't finish saying hi to everybody. I said hi to my mama. Hey, mama. My mama's watching, Mike, so be careful.
Hey,
okay?
Mama.
Don't be nice to me. Stephen Pace, what's going on? Thanks. Stephen Pace is in Boise, Idaho. We got from Boise, Idaho watching us. Yeah. Shout out to you, bro. All right. My receiver of the week, my guy of the week, is a guy that didn't put up big numbers, but I admire this cat for his resilience. I admire him for his toughness, for his stick-with-itness. This cat is just unbelievable. John Mechie. Y'all know who that is? Y'all know who that is? Wow.
No.
He played back in the 70s?
No, he didn't play back in the 70s, man. He's out of Alabama. His birthday is the same day as my mama's. His birthday is the same day as yours, mama. And he's 23 years old out of Hightstown, New Jersey. Went to college in Alabama.
In the NFL?
Let me finish. Can I finish?
He said Alabama. Okay.
Can I finish? Mr. Timpson, I thought you were controlling this thing, Skippy. What you doing? Are you running this? Look, my phone is writing what I'm.
Go ahead.
He went to college in Alabama. He was drafted in 2022 last year by the Texans in the second round. Also, he was drafted in the CFL in the seventh round 2022. He tore his ACL in the SEC championship game in 2021. After recording that year 96 catches, 1,142 yards, and 8 TDs at Alabama as a receiver. Drafted by the Texans, 2022. 3 months later, he was diagnosed with leukemia. Prior to the diagnosis, Mechie was expected to be ready for the Texans training camp, y'all. Mechie missed his entire rookie season. This past Sunday, he made his NFL debut versus the Colts, caught just 1 year after his initial diagnosis, caught one pass, 17 yards versus the Colts. Courage, grit, fight, focus, determination, stick-withiness, internal fortitude. John Mechie, Houston, Texas, Hightstown, New Jersey. That's my receiver of the week. That's my dude.
He's from Jersey. He's from Jersey. I was wondering. I was trying to connect with him. Like,
that's my dude. Torn ACL.
There we go.
He beat a torn ACL and leukemia.
Okay.
Hey, big ups.
Yeah.
Big ups to that.
Okay.
That's my dude.
I get you.
John Mechie.
Okay, Fred. Who's your guy?
He ain't got nothing to say now because he can't beat that.
No, I mean, from an emotional standpoint, no. I keep telling y'all.
Oh, Lord.
Uh-oh.
I told y'all this last week. Mm-hmm. I'm telling you this week.
I know you're going to talk about.
Puka
Pookie.
Nacua.
Pookie.
Puka has set the rookie record. This cat caught 10 balls his rookie game, his first game. He caught 15 balls his second game. He got a big body. He hasn't caught any touchdowns, which is somewhat disappointing. He got 25 receptions.
Right.
266 yards in 2 games. I'm just saying. Here's a guy, in my opinion, and what I did was this. I'm like, okay, everybody kind of has that game. Everybody, we say every dog has their day. I'm like, all right, how does he catch 10 passes first game, first ever NFL game, 15 passes second ever NFL game? So I'm watching.
I'm glad you asked
him.
I have an answer for you.
I'm
glad you asked that question. How does he catch it?
It's a bunch of bubble screens.
So I'm watching his plays. The guy knows what he's doing. Watch this. He understands what he's doing. I could tell. And he has the ability to execute what he know and understand. And when you got a guy like that, you got a guy who has talent, when you got a guy who knows what to do, and when you got a guy who has an IQ of this game, this guy gonna probably have 150, 200 catches. I'm telling you. And
let me stop you. He's not gonna have that many catches because when Cooper Kupp comes back, then that's where the ball is going. And right now, he's taking the role of a Cooper Kupp. Here's my problem. It's not really a problem because I agree with you. He was my who's that guy for the week. I agree with you. He has caught the ball. He has done well for a rookie, 5th round pick out of BYU. He has done that. Yeah. Here's the thing. So I went and took a look at what kind of passes are he catching. Mm-hmm. Under routes, hitches, slants. Yeah. Mm-hmm. He's not a big play receiver.
Bubble screen.
Yes, he's caught 25 balls, and that's why he has 0 touchdowns. Yep. He is not. He will not take the top off the defense. He's not stretching the defense.
He's not that guy.
And Mike, let me ask you this question.
He's not that guy.
Let me ask you this question. I'm gonna ask this to both of y'all. Have either one of you ever caught 15 balls in a game?
12,
including warm up pregame. Yeah.
So
no.
I never caught 15 balls in a game. Okay, I got double digits, but I never caught 15. But if I caught 15 balls in a game, one, I'm gonna have at least 1 touchdown. Number 2, I'm gonna have way more than 147 yards. I'm gonna have way more than 147 yards.
Here's what I think.
15 balls and you got 147 yards and no touchdowns?
Hold on. Even within the different positions of offense, you got your quarterback. Now, of course, I'm being obvious. You got your quarterback, running back. They all do different things. you have different types of wide receivers. Now, let me say this. When the Rams get in a crunch to where they need 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 yards, that guy is going to get open. And that could possibly be a problem. That
Okay.
could possibly be a problem as they're moving the ball down the field. He's not a Tyreek Hill. He's
We're not
not an AJ
that.
Brown. He's not that guy. He's not that guy. But he's the
But
type of guy you're going to put him in slot, you move him around, and he's a tool. He's a tool that you use accordingly.
So he's
okay,
he's
for
a
2 weeks,
chain.
2 weeks in a row. I just want you to keep it in perspective.
Yeah,
He's
a chain
not going to
mover.
give you anything big. That's all. We're saying give him props. 25 catches. Rookie, he's doing his thing.
Hey, Stuart
That's all I'm gonna give.
Stuart Winrow says he's baby Cup.
Yeah, but we give him his props. That's it. That's it.
Sure, I have to.
Let me pause
I
y'all
have to,
for a second.
because the thing is that when you think about at times when you have to really control the offense, but you need to throw the ball, here's a guy who will understand how to run a 6, 8 yard route and get open.
Big body.
Right now, though, he's a rookie.
Fred,
he got 2
they're
games.
not winning because they're not scoring touchdowns too. They're not winning.
Got to score points.
True.
They
Understood.
got to score some points.
Richard Melton says we didn't answer his questions. He said, "Wait, answer my question." His question was, "Do you guys think yeah, we did. Do you think it's the monetary value that teams or owners allow these superstar receivers?"
Said yes.
Yeah, we said yes.
Yes. We said that's a part of the reason. It's not the only reason, Richard, but yes, it's a part. And the value that comes with that. And because the guys who are making the most money are the most valuable players on the team.
Exactly.
So yeah, they kind of just have their way.
Yeah.
All right.
Exactly.
So let's move on. Top 5 receivers for the week. For week 2. Top 5 receivers.
You didn't give your guy.
Huh?
You didn't tell us who your guy.
You didn't give who's your guy.
It was Pookie. It was the same that Fred had, Pookie.
Oh, that's right. It was Pookie. Puka.
It was Pookie. Okay.
Oh, you arguing against Puka and you chose
But he's a chain mover is what he is. He, like you're saying, Mike, he's not going to stretch the field. He's not going to be a big touchdown, multiple touchdown make. He's a
how
chain
many
mover.
how many times when you need to move the chains when everybody is in prevent?
No, you're right. No, you need that kind of guy.
But we're saying at some point you need to get in the end zone. They're not winning. They need to get in the end zone. That's all. Would you agree with that?
Yes, but he's not that guy right now.
I need a guy that's going to score, not just catch ball, pitches all day. We need to get the ball in the end zone.
Like Chris Carter, all he does is catch touchdowns.
What?
He's not that guy.
He's not that guy.
No,
but he's not that guy, but he's your guy. He's not that guy, but he's your guy. He's not that guy, but he's your guy.
Oh, we can make a. I would say he probably have 8 touchdowns this year.
Okay, all right. I hope he doesn't have any incentive for touchdowns.
He better get the skipping there. He better get the skipping. He better get the skipping.
Top 5 receivers for the week 2. Top 5. I'll start off. JJ, that's my number 1. 11 receptions.
We start 1 down.
I'm sorry. I'll go backwards.
Okay.
My 5th receiver is Puka. We already know about him. My 4th receiver, Irvin, you'll like this, CeeDee Lamb.
Yes, sir. That's what I'm talking about.
Got him a 100-yard game.
That's my dude.
11 receptions. But again, no touchdowns. You got to get in the end zone.
No, you're right. No. But he
got to get in the end zone.
He scores touchdowns, though. He just didn't get one this week.
Okay. My number 3, DJ Moore out of Chicago. 6 receptions, 104 yards, a touchdown against Tampa Bay. Because I always tell you guys, you got to make sure and evaluate these guys based on who they're playing.
Who they're playing, right.
Okay? Who they're playing.
Yes, sir,
my number
coach.
2 guy. my number 2, Mike Evans from Tampa Bay. 6 receptions, 171 yards. Wait a minute. 1 touchdown against Chicago. Now, he's number 2. Now, Fred, we got to talk to him about pushing off. Okay?
Oh, he pushes off all the time. Mike Evans pushes
goodness.
off. That's what he does. He pushes off all the time. That's his route. That's the way he runs routes. He pushes off. Mike, he pushes off all the time. They don't call it because they know it's going to happen.
He's not just giving him a flipper.
No, he extends it off. Yeah, he mugging him.
So, and that leads me to my number one is Justin Jefferson with the Vikings. He's consistent. 11 receptions, 159 yards, no touchdown, but he played against Philly.
So the cheetah wasn't in?
Nah, the cheetah wasn't in there this week. He only caught a couple balls.
Not this week.
No, not this week.
He needed a break.
I was trying to explain.
He's getting some water.
What a full-blooded wide receiver was. We're talking about a full-blooded wide receiver.
Well, Mike Evans wasn't on the list the first week. He wasn't on our list.
He was on mine.
So my 5 is Pookie. Pookie's first from the Rams, your boy. Your boy, 15 receptions. But I was not impressed by the yardage after 15 catches because like you said, it's just hitches and slants and not much yardage after the slants and bubble screens and that kind of stuff. So he's not running down the field catching the ball and going across the middle and things like that, which is that's a real receiver. But if he moves the chains, like you said, that's fine. But he's got to start scoring points. Pookie is my number 5. Nico Collins, Houston, 7 receptions, 146, 1 TD. They lost against the Colts, but he's my number 4. Nico Collins. Y'all with me?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
And then my number 3 is CeeDee Lamb. 11 receptions, 143, like Mike said. In a win, they beasted the Jets. Dallas is on a roll. I hate to say that. My number, and I'm with you, Mike. My number 2 is Mike Evans. My number 1 is Justin Jefferson.
Yeah.
Okay.
Justin is.
Hey, Fred, boy, you don't shock us, Fred. Don't shock us, Fred.
Justin is, and I'm impressed. I'm impressed with Mike Evans from the fact that he's receiving balls from Baker Mayfield because I'm not impressed by Baker Mayfield at all. I know they're 2-0. I know they're 2-0. No, let me finish, Fred. I know they're 2-0, but Baker Mayfield, when I hear Baker Mayfield, I told somebody today, a guy that I know, I mentioned Baker Mayfield. He said, Curtis Mayfield? I was like, no, not Curtis Mayfield. No, it's Baker Mayfield. When I think of Baker Mayfield, I hear his name. I don't think of a starting quarterback in the NFL. I think about a journeyman who's going to be on another team next year as a backup who will come in, hopefully, if there has to come in, when the quarterback goes down, who's the starting quarterback, will come in and win half the games that he has to play. That's who I think of when I think of Baker Mayfield. But now Mike Evans is catching balls. Godwin's catching balls from Baker Mayfield. They're 2-0 right now. Eagles are going down to play them. But I think it's just a matter of time before it blows up in their face because Baker Mayfield.
They were in my top 5 duo.
Baker Mayfield. They're your top 5 duos. But Baker Mayfield's not a top. We can't do anything with a quarterback.
We're not talking about Baker Mayfield. We're talking about the receiver.
I'm talking about what's going to happen. It's just a matter of time before it blows up.
I understand what's going to happen, but what I'm saying is that if Baker Mayfield has the time to throw the ball, even if it's in coverage, Evans has such a dominant. He's such a dominant player. He'll come down. He comes down with a 50-50 ball. Which is why, in my opinion, I'm not sure if you got. Which is why there was a rumor, maybe a couple weeks ago that Kansas City was trying to figure out if they could get Evans.
Really?
I
didn't hear that.
Yes.
Oh yeah. Well, obviously it was just a rumor because he ain't there. He's still in Tampa.
Oh no, he ain't there. Well, of course, they didn't work anything out.
Somebody trying to stir.
Give us your top 5, Fred.
Top 5. You know what? As much as I didn't want to put him in 5, I understand. And I watched the Dolphins game, and I watched Tyreek Hill, and I'm like, he showed something. Although the numbers were not there, 5 for 40. He had 100. He had 40 yards. He had 1 touchdown. And of course, they won the game. but I saw him be a little more consistent in route running. And sometimes it's really not about, of course, we're looking at the numbers, we're seeing who has the most catches, who has the most yard. But I think inevitably when you're a scout, when you're not saying I'm a damn scout, but I'm watching him and watching him do what he do. Uh, he's I think he's really coming into his own and being a good wide receiver instead of being a guy that just blaze down the field and just run by everybody or just catch a slant, 10 yards and nobody can touch it.
Who are you talking
And
about?
that's easy to do. He's number 5.
Who are you talking
Cheetah.
about? Oh,
The cheetah. We're talking about who else would I be talking about if I'm talking about the Dolphins?
Bro, you didn't say. I missed it. I didn't catch
I
it.
said the Miami Dolphins. Okay, you
You
did.
said Dolphins,
Okay,
but you didn't say.
I got
You could
the
have been
cheetah
talking
at
about Waddle.
5.
You could have been talking about Waddle.
I got the cheetah. Okay, I got the cheetah at 5.
Okay.
I got Puka at 4.
Pookie.
Of course, we just mentioned what he's done. I mean, he's broke a record with the 25 catches in two games. I got CeeDee Lamb at 3.
Yes, sir.
And I watched the Dallas game, and I'm gonna tell you something. He's a tough kid.
Yep.
He's a tough kid. And if the Eagles front, and I know I'm getting personal now, but if the Eagles front can't get to that kid will catch the ball in traffic. He'll catch the ball. He'll get hit. I seen one play where he caught the ball. He literally got turned upside down, and he just got up and he pointed to the first down. Number 2, I put Mike Evans, and I think we of course we touched on that. Of course, we all know and agree that Baker Mayfield is not the guy. But I
You were
think
trying to
there are
make him the
times
guy.
no, I was not. Baker Mayfield is not the guy. Anyway.
I know
Stay
that.
on track.
Anyway,
Here's your list.
but I put it this way:
Fred.
if one of us was at quarterback, we probably could get the ball to Evans. Of course, you say he'll push off, but we
Better
probably
than
could get the ball to Evans.
better than
We
Baker
probably could get the ball to
Mayfield.
Evans.
Shoot, better than Baker Mayfield.
But
Yep.
Justin Jefferson is of course number
Yes,
one.
sir. Dude.
Here's a guy who's very sound. He's when you say lanky, you're usually talking about a taller guy, but here's a guy who's like 6'1", not even 6'2", but he plays very well. Runs great routes. Of course, the fumble through the end zone was not a good play for him. But here's a guy I think even with Cousins, is going to have some record numbers.
Mhm.
Who's going to, I think he could possibly have a personal best if Cousins stay healthy and if he stay healthy.
And don't forget, one of the greater things about what Jefferson did last Thursday was the fact last year when he played the Eagles, he only caught one ball. He only had one catch, and so he was skunked
like
last year.
24 yards or something
Yeah,
like that.
he was skunked last year, and comes back and has a big game. They lose, but he comes back in himself. He has a big game, so that was commendable of him to rise to the challenge.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, the list were pretty consistent, which we're all wide receivers, so I'm not surprised there.
Right.
Let's go to our Thursday night game.
Yep,
as
because we got
head down the home
we got
stretch here.
5 minutes.
Okay.
Well,
All right. So
well,
5
I can
minutes.
start.
Thursday night game.
I'll be quick.
Go
The
ahead. Go ahead,
Giants against San Francisco. San Francisco. If San Francisco doesn't win this game by 21, shame on them.
Yeah, Mike said,
Ayuk should have 100 plus a touchdown. Samuel should have, if not 100 receiving, 100 all-purpose. McCaffrey, if he doesn't have 150 yards in this game, that they fail, in my opinion.
Okay.
No disrespect, but it is what it is. The Giants are just not there. Maybe they'll get there. Maybe they won't. I don't know. But they're just not there. Even with that comeback against Arizona, I just don't think that, with a sound team, as Mike, alluded to San Francisco being, which I think he's correct, a sound team like San Francisco, won't let them off the hook. And they should put 35, 40 points on them.
Okay. Reverend Doctor, what you got?
I'm in agreement. The 49ers should win this game. I mean, I just think that the way the Giants are playing, and particularly Daniel Jones, yes, he did light it up the second half last week against the Cardinals, but come on, it's the Cardinals. I think it was 50-50. Some of it had to do with the fact that the Giants were playing pretty good in the second half, and the other half of it was how bad the Cardinals are. So it's just, you know, he don't get a feather in the cap for me from that, because in the first half he was 24 for 44 in the first half with 3 interceptions. In the second half, Daniel Jones was 17 to 21 and had 2 TDs. That's the Cardinals he's playing. So, and they got skunked by Dallas 40-0 the week before. They cannot be that inconsistent and even stay in the same park with the 49ers. Like you said, Mike, they are a well-developed team. They're balanced. And the Giants just cannot even afford to even get behind and have a chance in this game. I don't see the Giants it ever being close. And I see them scoring a few points, but it'll be 36-21, 49ers.
Okay.
Too many weapons.
You mentioned they're going to be at San Francisco, so that right there is a strike against them. Number 2, Saquon Barkley is out. There's no running game.
Yeah.
Now, to their point, they can throw the ball against San Francisco. San Francisco's pass defense is not that great. But at the same time, now you're opening yourself up to Bosa coming there and knocking your head off.
And the left tackle is out too. Starting left tackle is out. Andrew Thomas,
two tackles are out. 2 tackles are out now.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm expecting them to get 40 points put on them like last time. But I got to be careful with my predictions, because I predicted that Minnesota would win against Philadelphia, and they didn't, because they turned the ball over. So I got to be careful, because I, don't want to get too much of a slide here on my predictions. But certainly I'm going with San Francisco to win it all.
So wait, hold on. The Minnesota lost because they turned the ball over?
They turned the ball over too many times to Philadelphia. Philadelphia still didn't impress.
Well, turnovers are created. You understand that, right?
Yes. Sometimes they are, and sometimes they're a gift. Now,
they just weren't running down the field and was like, "Oh, where is he here? Here, you can have this." No, that turnovers were created. Turnovers are created.
No, sometimes they just throw them out there and say, "Hey, here's a gift for you."
Turnovers are created.
Now, before we wrap up, I do want to say something that happened this week that is in line for a congratulations to our very own Irving Fryar. He's nominated for the Hall of Fame. So we want to give a shout out.
Thank you, sir.
To Reverend Dr. Fryar being nominated for the Hall of Fame. And so we're happy about that.
Well deserved.
And
deserved.
We got to push through, man. We got to push through.
We have to get the whole campaign started, so we'll get you some information on that later. But we want to congratulate him here and all of you out there to know that he's nominated. So that's step number 1. And so, there it is. I was wondering what was happening. Thank you.
I'm sorry. Just got the applause.
You're a little late. All right. Well, that does it again for Wideouts World.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Is that your outro, man? That's all you got? That's all you got?
No. I'm going to let you give a shout out on the way out. I'm Michael Timpson.
I'm Irving Fryar. Okay, go ahead. Do it. Start it again. Go ahead. Say it again.
Okay. That's Wideouts World. That's a wrap.
No, you got to say it again, Mike. I'm Irving Fryar.
I just did.
Okay, go ahead.
Mike,
do it again.
Irvin, let him do it, Irvin.
Do it again. My bad.
Wideout World. It's a wrap. I'm Michael Timpson.
I'm Irving Fryar.
And I'm Fred Barnett.
We'll see you next time. God bless.
Peace.